I happened to go over to Nick Fuentes' little rally, because there were two sections of the protest. There was the main stage, then there was Nick Fuentes' little group. It wasn't little, actually. It was actually quite frighteningly large. And for those of you who don't know who Nick Fuentes is a nationalist, collectivist, ethno-nationalist, white, identitarian thinker and speaker in America. I shouldn't say that. That gives him too much gravitas. He's only like 21 years old. He's like a year older than me or so. But he's cultivated this cult following on the internet. And this cult following, called the Groypers, are constituted of young people, constituted of a lot of folks who are just blind adherents to his ideas of nationalism and his anti-immigration ideas. And they just follow him wherever he goes. So Nick Fuentes wasn't just there to show solidarity with President Trump or so. He was there to push his idea that America is under cultural attack. A broad cultural attack. Not a cultural attack from like the liberals or whatever. But a cultural attack. Well, actually, a cultural attack that happens to be coming even from people who propose to be for freedom. So just to run down. Fuentes hates libertarians. Fuentes hates mainstream conservatives. He hates National Review. He hates Ben Shapiro. Fuentes just hates anyone who is not a rabid, nationalistic talking head. He hates them. This is someone who has said that interracial marriage should not happen. This is someone who has said that legal immigration, not illegal, legal immigration of people coming from different countries, mostly brown people, is a threat to American culture and a threat to American civilization. This is someone who made Holocaust jokes. Like, he literally disputed or doubted the numbers of people who were killed in the Holocaust. This is someone who doesn't have an ounce of intellectual integrity in his bones. This is someone who labors in a world of conspiracies. This is someone who genuinely believes in wicked ideas and has false imaginations. Genuinely. This is someone who I think is nothing more. He's quite indicative of the kind of politics that threatens to destroy the dream of the founders, threatens to destroy the dreams of freedom, threatens to destroy the true formula by which we obtain that self-actualization, by which we obtain an adherence with the natural law, by which we obtain that just self, by which we obtain these things which help us be politically virtuous. Seriously. So I actually encountered and interacted with one of Nick Fuentes' supporters. One of his Groypers, so to speak. So a young man from Virginia. I don't think I got his name. I got his name, I just don't remember his name. 24 years old, I think. And he had a nice business casual shirt on. These people oftentimes dress very nice. These Groypers, these nationals are not the kind of people who will just come in with suspenders and a piece of yarn in their mouth or a toothpick in their mouth. No. These are very educated people, which makes them dangerous. When Charlottesville happened, and Nick Fuentes was actually at Charlottesville marching, I think. Well, he was at Charlottesville. I think he was marching. He claims he wasn't, but evidence points that he was actually at Charlottesville. At Charlottesville, the people who were wielding tiki torches shouting, "You will not replace us," each and every one of them seemed professional. They were young. They seemed to be people that you would not imagine harbor such malevolent views. So I talked to this guy, and I'm like, okay, what do you think about Nick Fuentes' ideas about interracial marriage? He smiled. He's like, haha, well, look, I'm not against interracial marriage, but there are difficulties when you mend two cultures together like that. So when I hear that false sentiment, that fire of illumination just begins perking up in my body. My mind is just now entirely focused on this boy and just shattering the falsehoods that consume his thinking. That's what Christian Watson is contemplating when I hear this. Exactly that. I'm like, okay, look, I don't care about this rally anymore. This is a soul that needs to be saved. I felt like, as the conversation continued, that I was doing an exorcism. I'm not kidding. I felt like it. The conversation went on for about an hour. And so I responded to him. I'm like, you think race and culture, or what I look like my culture, are intricately linked? He's like, yes. I'm like, how? How's that so? If that's the case, then how come a Dutch woman is different from a white woman from Louisiana? How come me, as a black African-American man, am quite different than someone from Ghana or South Africa? Culture is not linked with how I look. It's linked to what I believe and oftentimes my geography. It's linked to tradition. These things are external to how I look, brothers and sisters. I hammer that point with him. Eventually, he's like, well, there's a correlation. I'm like, I don't care about correlations, brother. You made a principle statement. You made a conceptual statement. You made a philosophical statement. So you need to defend that statement through reason to me, but guess what? You can't, because this does not correspond with reality. If your sentiments don't correspond with reality, you cannot defend them. Or if you do try to defend them, you'll fail miserably. So I mentioned to him the immigration thing. And I mentioned to him all kinds of stuff. And he thinks that race is linked with culture and everything. And that immigrants would destroy America, or he would demean America. He said that libertarianism is flawed because, well, freedom is the reason why we're in the state that we're in right now. He linked libertarianism with sexual revolution, with all this kind of stuff, with hedonism. He's like, well, look, freedom is why we're doing this stuff right now. Freedom is why America is such a destitute state. And I said, you know, you think of America in a very provincial way. The Amish are not out there being sexually revolutionized. A rural kid in nowhere, Kansas, is not somewhere being sexually revolutionized. You are taking trends which cohere with very certain parts of the country, which are not indicative of a whole, and you're applying them to the whole. You're extrapolating what you think America is from singular instances. The sexual revolution, the hippies, all of them, they are particular groups of people who were eccentric, who broke lockstep, who broke custom, who broke mores. That is why they are so coveted and they are so magnified in the culture. Not because everyone believes it. But these folks cannot separate hyper-focused, isolated incidents or anecdotal incidences from how the country truly is. So we talk, I fight verbally. But while I'm trying to disabuse this guy of his pseudo-racist, ethno-nationalist ideas, I'm telling him, dude, I love you, man. As a one human to the next, I love you. As one human to the next, I care about you. As one human to the next, I know what's going on in your mind. You're looking for something in your life and you're trying to find it, but you found it in the wrong place. And the words that I'm saying to you, the words that are being exchanged right now, I'm just, my friend, don't take them as a means to destroy you or hurt you, but to help you find yourself again, to revitalize yourself, to do some restorative therapy on your mind and your consciousness. I love you. Yeah, there's a gay African-American guy just sitting here telling this ethno-nationalist guy that I love him. Because guess what? I see more than an ethno-nationalist in that man. I see someone who's lost, who found inspiration in the wrong places. And of course, by the end of our conversation, he has no more arguments left. Not because I'm so good, but because when you hit people with the truth, they will eventually come to accept that they can't push back against it anymore. Yes, they can ignore what you said. They can pretend they didn't hear it. But the truth is absolute, it is resolute, and it does not abide by mediocrity. It does not abide by false standards. It does not abide by subjective experience. It does not abide by my own mind. It abides by the composition of this very world, people. Fuentes doesn't get that. The Groyper I talked to didn't get that. But guess what? Their actions are bound by objective laws and principles that must cohere to that idea. It must. So I didn't destroy the guy. Although he didn't have any arguments when I was done with him, though. I talked to him. I loved on him. I said, this is not what you have to do, brother. You're greater than this. If there's someone who you think is lost, don't shun them. Talk to them and give them the truth. And I promise you, it'll leave an imprint on their mind.